Damna svena sada nirasta kuhukam satyam param dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes, of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. And he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen on fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of material nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Dharma pojita kaitravota paramo nimatsanam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapa trayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parer Ishwaraha Sadyohridi Avuruditetra Kriti Bihi Sususubhistakshana. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Nigama kalpaturur galitam phalam sukamukha damrita dravya samyatam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhur Aho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Even though its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, verse number 15. Midanga Sankhya Beryascha Vina Panava Gomukha Tanduri Anaka Gantadya nedur dundu bayas tata. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapura, different types of drums like the mridanga, dola, nagara, dunduri, and dundubi, and flutes of various types, the veena, gomukha, and beri, all sounded together to show him honor. There's no purport, so I will not dare make any statement about this verse. So, text 16. Prasada shikarar rudha. Kurunaryo didrikshaya. Vavrishu kushumai krishnam. Prema vrida smite kshanaha. Out of loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace, and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Purport: by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shyness is a particular extra-natural beauty of the fair sex, and it commands respect from the opposite sex. The custom was observed even during the days of the Mahabharata, that is, more than 5,000 years ago. It is only the less intelligent persons not well versed in the history of the world who say that observance of separation of female from male is an introduction of the Mohammedan period in India. This incident from the Mahabharata period proves definitely that the ladies of the palace observed strict parda, restricted association with men, and instead of coming down in the open air where Lord Krishna and others were assembled, the ladies of the palace went up on the top of the palace and from there paid their respects to Lord Krishna by showers of flowers. It is definitely stated here that the ladies were smiling there on the top of the palace, checked by shyness. This shyness is a gift of nature to the fair sex, and it enhances their beauty and prestige, even if they are of a less important family or even if they are less attractive. We have practical experience of this fact. A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half-naked ladies in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all. So Prabhupada's referring to something that he experienced in his life. He talks about this somewhere else, where he and a gentleman were sitting together in a hallway that was the entrance to a building. And a cleaning woman was entering. And when she saw the men, she stopped and waited patiently. And then they realized that she was waiting for them to move so she could walk past them. So they got up and walked away. And then she continued walking and then went up to do her work. So she's just an ordinary woman, but and a sweeper woman, so this doesn't have any, let's say, remarkable physical appearance, but yet she was shy and chaste, and she did not want to walk past two men. So Prabhupada talks about that, and here I guess he's referring to the same thing. A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen, simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half-naked women in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all. So he and his friend got up and walked away so she could walk through the hallway without passing in front of them. Of course, someone would say, oh, what's the word? That doesn't sound so important. It is, if you understand Vedic culture. It's not important if you walk around half naked, but if you're a respectable person, man or woman, then you maintain these social customs that protect men and women from unnecessary mental agitation. Human civilization as conceived by the sages of India is to help one free himself from the clutches of illusion. The material beauty of a woman is an illusion because actually the body is made of earth, water, fire, air, etc. But because there is the association of the living spark with matter, it appears to be beautiful. No one is attracted by an earthen doll, even if it is the most perfectly prepared to attract the attention of others. The dead body has no beauty because no one will accept the dead body of a so-called beautiful woman. Therefore, the conclusion is that the spirit spark is beautiful, and because of the soul's beauty, one is attracted by the beauty of the outward body. The Vedic wisdom, therefore, forbids us to be attracted by false beauty, but because we are now in the darkness of ignorance, the Vedic civilization allows very restricted mixing of women and men. They say that the woman is considered to be the fire and the man is considered to be the butter. The butter must melt in association with fire, and therefore they may be brought together only when it is necessary. And shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It is nature's gift, and it must be utilized. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Ki Jai. So it says human civilization is conceived by the sages of India. The human civilization as conceived of by the sages of India is to help one free himself from the clutches of illusion. The material beauty of a woman is an illusion because actually the body is made of earth, water, fire, air, etc. Well, in Sankhya Yoga, Sankhya means how to quantify something, how to count something. So the body is made up of, the material body is made up of 24 elements. The 25th element is the soul, the jiva, and the 26th element is the supersoul. So, if you analyze something down to those 24 elements, whatever attraction you had for it at first will at one point disappear. So let's take an example. Let's say there's a very beautiful woman dressed in a very provocative or seductive way with all the accoutrements, earrings, nose rings, and big hairdo, and tight dress, and high heels, and all these things, right? So, if you take that person, put them on a surgical table, and take a scalpel and cut from the bottom of the chin all the way down to the belly button, and then open the skin, and now you start taking out one organ after the other. Well, even when you open the skin, you immediately lose attraction. Say, and then as you keep taking more and more things out of the body, not only you lose attraction, you become disgusted, especially when you get to the intestines and open up the intestines. So this ability to analyze something down to its 24 elements is an intellectual way of losing attraction to the outer 1/8 of a skin bag. There's a bag. The body is like a bag. And it's not even 1/8, it's less than 1/8 of skin, which is like the outer, which is the bag part. And once you take that off, you lose attraction. You see, there's nothing but blood, pus, urine, stool, bones, marrow, plasma, and so forth. And this is Sankhya. It's an intellectual process of by which you lose attraction. But because most people are not intellectual, they're very low low information people. So therefore, this separation of men and women, even in marriage, like if you go to India and Bengal and you see traditional houses that were built, let's say in early 20th century or late 19th century, you'll see that they have a fence around the whole house and yard, and it's usually a metal fence. And then when you go in, there's a courtyard, and it's a big courtyard. And then if you go in further, you'll see there are areas where women live and areas where the men live. And that was the traditional way. There was separation of men and women, even though they were married. And then, as Prabhupada says, the husband and wife would come together when they needed to. Let's say when they wanted to procreate, to have children. The rest of the time they were separate, even in the same house. Nowadays, people buy a house, and when you do the Griha Pravesh, you go upstairs. There's a big bedroom, and there's a big bed, right? And it's just one bed. It's not like two beds. And there's one bed. A husband and wife sleep in that bed. When it's one of those electric beds, or let's say one of those technical beds where you can adjust on one side. Let's say on 55, so it's a little bit harder, and then you adjust on the other side. 32, it's much softer. So all this, let's say, glorification of sleep and sense gratification, and then they have the big television also, and everything is remote control. So that is not Vedic culture. That is sense gratification culture. So therefore, the whole idea is that when we follow the Vedic culture, it's to diminish the effect of lust and greed and increase the effect of goodness. And that's what's said here. Evam prasna, in the second chapter it says, Evam prasna manasa bhagavat bhakti yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Jnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man or woman whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. So that's the point, that we want to be in the mode of unalloyed goodness or transcendental goodness, and not be influenced by tadrajas tamo bhava kamaloba dayaschaye chetartarana vidan sitvan sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. And the next verse says, when one rises even above goodness to unalloyed goodness or transcendental goodness, then and the mind is enlivened by devotional service to the Lord, then you gain scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead, and you're liberated from all material association. So this is the Vedic culture. The culture is how to go back to Godhead, and not how to rot in the material world. That's the whole purpose. But most people say, no, I want to find a permanent position in the material world. I want to make everything, I want to have a bunker, and I want to, have my own island and my own airplane. And as soon as there's chaos in the United States, immediately I'll fly there, and I have, 10 years of stocked food, and plenty of money, and the chaos in America will eventually subside. Then I'll come back, and start all over again making money. That this is nonsense. This is complete nonsense. And there are thousands of people like that, millionaires, billionaires. They all have their bunkers and their islands and their retreats. So when there's chaos in America, immediately they'll fly there in their own airplane, and they will not be subject to the chaos. It's a bunch of nonsense, all greed, lust, and just based on selfishness. And but if we follow the Vedic culture, we would avoid all this. It's not the Muslims who created this separation of men from women. They inherited that from the Vedic culture. Everything is coming originally from the Vedic culture. It's not coming from Western Yavana cultures that conquered India. Okay, so therefore it says, but because we are now in the darkness of ignorance, the Vedic civilization allows very restricted mixing of women and men. They say that the woman is considered to be the fire and the man is considered to be the butter. The butter must melt in association with fire, and therefore they may be brought together only when it is necessary, and shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It is nature's gift, and it must be utilized. So this shyness is a completely important principle for women, and for men, there should be respect for women, and not look upon women as an object of exploitation, but see them as servants of Krishna. So, if a woman is seen as an agent of Maya, then that wrong understanding leads to all kinds of complications. But if women are seen as agents of Krishna, as the servants of Krishna, like the gopis, then that's different. Then one must respect them and always protect them and always be very honorable in relationship with them. So in this way, society becomes peaceful and there's good population of children. But when these principles are not followed, then you have Varna Shankara, unwanted children who are not trained at all, and they become a nuisance, and they basically destroy culture and destroy the whole peace of society, which is what we're seeing today. Like you have movements like Antifa, and you have these different types of movements. You have the Bernie Bros and people like that. They're just creating havoc in the society. And not only them, there are many others also. The neo-Nazis and the Aryan Brotherhood and all these different movements where they want to destroy. And it's because they've never been trained properly, never had loving relationships in their families. They're angry people. So therefore, we have to establish this Vedic culture and follow it with great, let's say, expertise, and teach others also by example the proper way of living in this world and going back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, no questions, no answers. Haribol.